my hair looks fierce.
Hey guys, it's Ngolela. Welcome to another episode of The Ngolela Show. So, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know I've been putting some polls up about like hair, makeup, things like that, because I really want to get your opinions. And I was pleasantly surprised at the results. So today I just wanted to chat about the beauty industry as far as inclusivity and shade range and things like that. So I'll just rewind. If you didn't see what I posted on my Instagram story, by the way, I'm at Ngolela on Instagram, so you can follow me there and be in the loop. But I posted a picture of Tarte Cosmetics post for their new foundations, and so they had 4 hands and they had 4 different shades, but the 2 darker shades, their palm was the same color as their skin, which you can, it's obviously if you've ever seen someone with darker skin's palms, they are not the same color as their regular skin. They're, white, pale, whatever you want to call it. So they either photoshopped it or they painted a hand. Whatever they did, they shouldn't have done it. And it's 2018. There's no way. It doesn't even matter if it was 2008 or 1998. There's never been a lack of, models with melanin, M&Ms, brown skin models, whatever you want to call it. And the fact that they couldn't find even just 2 to use for the ad, and then they posted something later on saying something along the lines of, oh, after, we heard what you said, and after much discussion, we believe in A, B, and C and in inclusivity, and here's the new ad and all this stuff. And it's like, why did it take us telling you that for you to realize, wait a second, what did we do? That wasn't a good idea. That's the problem. I think, whether it's what happened with H&M a few months ago or what just continues to happen, is there's a lack of diversity in these business meetings at these tables. The people that are sitting there making these decisions aren't really considering everyone they should be considering. Because I guarantee, like, for example, if I were at that table, I would be like, what's up with these 2 hands right here? And I think we should definitely find someone that is that exact color, and that way it's 100% represented. Like, it's not just, we're not just painting it. There needs to be more diversity just across the board with all of these companies, from the top to the bottom, everyone in between, because all those voices matter, all those voices count, all those opinions need to be heard. So they redid it, and this time they looked like real hands that were actually holding the foundation. So fabulous. Everything's great again. Not quite, because it just it keeps bringing up we always have this issue. Sorry, I'm bouncing around there because it's happened so many times. And I've always been a fan of makeup, hair, like all that stuff I love. And I just remember having to go to certain areas to even find my shade if I wanted to go to the drugstore. Even now, in the middle of New York City, where I am right now, I remember going, where was I? I think I was in Midtown or Manhattan. I ran into CVS to get something. They didn't have my shade that I needed. And so I was with my friend and I told him, I was like, oh, it's not here. I'll just go to another one. He's like, why can't you get it here? He didn't understand at all. And I was like, well, they don't have my shade here. So I have to go somewhere where maybe there are more people that have my shade and they carry my, the makeup. And I'd gone back later on because this was a pretty big CVS too. And they didn't have it. And then one of the ladies that was working there was brown as well. And I asked her, she's like, oh yeah, I don't know why we don't have it yet. And it's so frustrating that it continues to happen. And even a few months ago, Tarte Cosmetics had something too where they came out with these new foundations, but there were like 5 foundations. And then they're talking about, oh, look at our shade range. It's like, what? Like, you've cut off a huge chunk of people. And then to go back, what they did was, after people complained about it, it may have been more than 5, whatever the case, there weren't enough. And when people went back to complain about it, they just turned the comments off first on Instagram. So you couldn't comment on it, how is that fixing anything? And then they just took down the post completely. So that shows that they don't care to hear what people are saying, and they're not thinking, okay, let's go back and revamp and, see what we can do. More recently, Beauty Blender, the little makeup sponge, they came out with these really cool foundations that have this cool, if you just go to their page on Instagram or go to their site, Beauty Blender, and you can see the shape of the container is pretty cool, and you tap the Beauty Blender, all that stuff. But even then, it seems like a lot of shades, but they could have added a few more. And a lot of people say ever since Rihanna came out with her Fenty Beauty line, with all those shades from like the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark, like she got it right. And it's, you know, she heard what people were requesting, the complaints. I'm sure she's even had issues before. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make sure that we include everybody. And I think that's very important because there's not just one type of woman, man, person, whatever that wears makeup. And that just, it's been happening for a very long time. Like I remember there used to be these jokes, maybe it doesn't happen as much anymore. These jokes about, you know, when you go to either Sephora or MAC to get your makeup done and how you end up with, maybe like if I were to walk in, I would end up with a very pale face and my neck would still be the same color, like and they would blend two together. It's just, it wasn't, you never quite got your shade. And even way back, let me see, I was reading about this just to brush up on everything. If you look at old pictures, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed this. Even old pictures of, say, like Naomi Campbell or Diana Ross or, you know, Aretha Franklin, Chad Khan, anyone, go back. Even Michael Jackson, once, you know, his vitiligo started like kicking in, go back and look at any, you know, brown artist and look at maybe with the flashback with the makeup, just look at the makeup and look at it closely and you can tell that the shade doesn't match. It's like it never matched. It was always off by a few shades. And I was reading that, you know, across many cultures, usually the lighter your skin, the more appealing you are. And way back when, usually if you had darker skin, that shows that you are out working. So you're in the sun, but if you're lighter, you're probably like in the house or in a building or something. So that was actually part of it as well, even in the makeup industry. So if you were there, you were more able to find like a lighter shade. And one person even once said, I heard this before and I read it. I could not remember where I read it though, that, you know, oh, black women don't wear makeup. I was like, what? What does that even mean? How can you say something like that? And that's why it was so hard for them to find their shade, because they just didn't even make it, because they didn't even think we wore makeup. And even I've heard even models of today, like Chanel Iman and who's the other one? Ducky Thought, like all of these models, if you even today have said, you know, I'll sit down in the chair to get ready and they don't even know what to put on my face. Like, thankfully, at least there's like Fenty. Makeup Forever has been great about the shade range too. And there are a bunch of other brands, but I'm seeing more brands coming out with more of a shade range. So that's great. But again, speaking about the models and sitting down to get prepped for shows and stuff, I also was asking questions about hair on my poll, just because I was changing up my hairstyle. I like to change my hairstyle for those of you that know me. And I was like, oh, let me get braids and, or do braids, because I always do my own hair. So I stopped and thought, because as I was doing my hair, I came across this meme that said something along the lines of, my hairstyle determines what kind of men approach me. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting, because I feel like that's happened to me before. I don't change my hair for other people. I wear my hair the way I want. I wear what I want as far as makeup, clothing. You know this if you know me, or you feel to my Instagram. Like, my style just changes like the morning sun, or whatever you want to call it. So where was I before I forget? Oh, so I was just curious to just ask other people. I'm like, do you ever base your hairstyle off of maybe a job you have or an interview you have? And the majority of people said, yes, I have considered maybe not wearing my hair a certain way because of my job or because I have an interview. And even I had the majority of people say, yes, different men do approach me based on how my hair is styled. So, for example, if we go back to the relationship thing, especially if you're in an interracial relationship, and I just say that because I was in one, a very long one, and the great thing about him, he had a bunch of great things, but he didn't care how my hair was, and he'd always, you know, he loved it natural, like my natural curl pattern or whatever I did. He was very like, it was never like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So that was great. But I also heard this one girl say before, she was black and she was dating this white guy, and she said he only likes my hair when I have a straight weave. Mind you, the picture, I don't know who, she wasn't my friend. If she was my friend, I would have said something about how her hair was styled, maybe in a nice way. But like, why are you, I don't know. Everyone's different. So maybe if that's what they like and you want to please them, then fine. The same with, I believe Gavin Rossdale said he only liked Gwen Stefani with makeup on. If you ever see a picture of the two of them together, I don't think I've ever seen Gwen Stefani without makeup. And she always has like a bold lip, and I know that's her look, but I read that it's because that's his thing. Or even Tamar Braxton, when she was on the Steve Harvey show talking about her breakup and things like that, they started talking about like the things you should do to please your whomever you're with. And so she was saying for a long time she was wearing blonde wigs because her, I guess, I don't know if it's ex-husband, I don't know where they are in the divorce proceedings, but he would always like to date blondes. And so she would wear like blonde wigs. She would always style her hair blonde because that's what he liked. So when they finally decided to get a divorce, that's when she shaved her head. She's like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And then Steve, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, I don't know, agreed and was just saying you can't, come into the relationship one way and then completely change. Just like when they say, when you get comfortable in a situation or a relationship and maybe you, I don't want to say let yourself go, but you can notice the changes when you get a little bit comfortable. But I was just really surprised by that. It's like, I would never, if a guy were to tell me, oh, wear your hair this way, it's like, bye, adios. Even when I change my style and they'll say like, oh, I like your hair that way. It's like that way. It's not just I like your hair, but I like your hair that way. Or you should wear it like that more often. Or one time someone even said, oh, I like this better than the other one. It's like, who are you? Who are you to even say that? That's rude. Like, keep that opinion to yourself. But again, back to the workplace and the hairstyle thing. I had another friend who, she has naturally curly, big hair, fabulous hair. And so she wore it once to work straight. And our boss was like, oh, your hair's great. You should wear it like that more often. And she never straightened it again, just because like she had worked there for so long. Then finally when her hair's straight, that's when she gets the compliment. And I feel like maybe it depends on the woman, the person, whatever. Like, it happens a lot and it shouldn't be happening. There was a news anchor before. This will be the last one because I know it's getting pretty long. But I'm also curious to hear your thoughts. So be sure to, leave a comment on my Instagram, DM me, comment on this video, whatever you have to do. Because I like to continue this conversation. There was a news anchor once, or I'm sure this happened many times, but there was a news anchor who said that she wore her hair curly and viewers wrote in saying it was a distraction. Mind you, she wore her hair in its natural texture. So for you to say, like, how can you say that it's a distraction? It's because they want everyone to be uniform and everyone to look the same. But for you to say that it's a distraction and I should change it, it's like, for whom? Distracting for whom? This is me. Just because you're uncomfortable by it, that's not my problem. And I wish I had my really good friend, Emily. I hope you're listening. She has we met in college, but probably one of the first things I told her was like, oh my gosh, your hair is amazing. Why don't you wear it out more? She has like the biggest red hair ever. It's amazing. It bounces. It's just great. And she's fab. But I wanted her to be on this. So hopefully I can catch up with her at some point so she can give her input. She used to always have her hair pulled back, always. And I was always just into, hair, makeup, that whole thing, fashion, of course, as you know. And so I was always like, do you ever wear your hair out? Do you ever wear your hair this way? And do you ever try this style? And she'd be like, no, I don't, I don't really. She'd have it like slick back, pin back in a bun or something. And it took her a while to embrace and accept her hair. She said, I'm, thinking back to a conversation we had before. And now it's just always out. It's always big. And I'm like, well, good for you. Not that everybody has to be that way. I'm not saying that. But I just think it's nice when you can embrace something like that and not, I don't know why she wore it back. It's one thing when people have like a personal thing, but if someone outside that I don't even know were to make a comment, like that's not, it doesn't faze me, but that's my personality. So for some people, which I know a few people, it does, where they'll be like, okay, I'm never doing X again because, Y happened or whatever. Anyways, I don't want this to be too long. I just wanted to just tap a little bit into this topic. So if you have anything to say, I want to hear your comments. I want to read your comments. Comment on this. You can also go to my Instagram at Ngolela, my Twitter. I'm still trying to change the name, so I'm not even going to put that on there, but you can still find me if you type my name on Twitter. And until next time, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the other episodes and any other content. And I'll see you on the next episode. Adios.